Put them in the chat. Excuse me. Today is, did I say this is day 3 of no caffeine for me and I'm struggling? Oof. Okay. Now I've got the YouTube up. So now I just need to share my slides. Let's close this. Oh, you have questions about the 2 different options for getting mentorship? Okay. Yeah, we're definitely going to go over that. Definitely going to go over that. Now let me just share these slides. I appreciate you spending your morning or your afternoon with me. That's really cool. Thank you. Thank you. I haven't been going live on YouTube. I've just been doing the Zoom, but I figured why not just go live on the YouTube? So here I am. Do you have private calls? Yes, I do. I do have private calls. Thanks for that question. So let me go ahead and get started with this presentation. Thank you, Eric, for being here. I appreciate you, Latanya, for being here. Oh, I didn't share my screen. That's the problem. I was gonna say, somebody tell me if you can see my slides. You cannot see my slides. Now, Latanya, since I know you're available and you cleared out your calendar to be here, can you give me a thumbs up or something in the chat saying that you can see my slides? I'm going to depend on you. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. So welcome in. I am Katrina E. Robinson, and this is a masterclass on how to 10x your income with co-living and why co-living is the fastest way to increase your rental income right now. And so what I'm going to talk about today is the traditional rentals versus co-living and the income gap there. And then also how the demand for affordable housing is only rising and why this model works right now. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I promise you I answer every single question every time. So put your questions in the chat box if you want to. If you're on the Zoom, I believe there's a chat and a Q&A. Either one works fine. If you're on the YouTube, just throw it in the chat box and I will definitely answer all of the questions at the end. So what I'm going to go over today again is the opportunity and the growth for co-living. How to open a co-living home in 6 steps, and then also the profit potential of how to open a co-living home and what money you can actually make by doing this, and how I can help you to open your co-living home through private coaching. And then I will go into the Q&A. I usually keep this to about an hour. I think I blocked out an hour and a half, but I'm going to keep it to an hour so that then we can have time for the Q&A for that hour and a half. So let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb. And this is live. So if you guys hear my dogs bark, hey, I'm sorry. We got a couple loud dogs here. Okay, so let's get right into it. Oh, and on the chat, it looks like, okay, there you go. I want to make sure that I can see the chat. Okay, cool. All right, let's get into it. I'm so glad you guys are here. All right, so what is co-living? What is co-living? Some people call it a group home. I have been calling it a group home for 6 years now, but actually in 2025, Texas passed a law that defines a group home. And by the Texas legal definition of a group home, I actually don't have group homes anymore. All 3 of my homes are just shared living or independent living or co-living. So all of those terms get thrown around, and that's what I have. Basically, it's unlicensed housing only, where I'm renting out a residential house by the room or by the bed within that room. And it's all inclusive, meaning utilities are included in the rent that the resident pays. Okay, so it's renting by the room or renting out a bed within a shared room. What is the difference between what I do and assisted living? What I do in this unlicensed co-living is housing only. It's only housing. There's no services. No services are included at all. And when I'm talking about services with assisted living, I'm talking about activities of daily living. When I took the Texas Certified Assisted Living Manager training, I learned all about ADLs, activities of daily living. That's toileting, bathing, feeding, medication management. Those are the types of things that require certification. And once you start offering help with ADLs, activities of daily living, you must be licensed and certified because we want to make sure that you're doing everything in accordance with the law for the patient safety. And assisted living, sometimes you hear the word patient. They have patients, whereas group homes or co-living homes or shared housing homes or independent living homes, we have residents or we have tenants. When the resident or person who's living in the bed signs a lease, they are legally a tenant. But I like to use the word resident so it's ingrained in their minds so that I can put them out if they break the house rules. So, what about people who do need help with ADLs, but they can't afford assisted living? I actually can still house those people. But the help that they need does not come from my company because my company is unlicensed. So the help is outsourced. That means a third party comes in to provide that help with the ADLs, activities of daily living. And that's where home health agencies come into play. So if they need help with medication management, feeding, or if they need a nurse or some other type of helper to come in and help them do their laundry or something like that, that's when they can get a home health agency to come in and help them. Or sometimes the resident will have insurance that gives them provider hours. And if they have insurance that gives them provider hours, they can have a family member or a friend come in and help them for a few hours a day. I also get a question sometimes about co-living in a multifamily property. So I actually rather you do a single family home than do a multifamily home. And it's because there's lower maintenance costs when you do a single family residence versus a multifamily. When you have a multifamily, you have multiple kitchens, multiple living rooms, multiple appliances, multiple everything. And you have different utility bills for each of those units because each of those units has its own address. So I'd much rather you do this co-living model in a single family home. And then also with co-living, the way I teach it, you earn 10 times the amount of a regular single family rental. Okay, let's talk about the outlook on the business because whenever you get into a business, you want to make sure that it's something that is going to last and not something that's going to go away really fast. You don't want to jump on a trendy bandwagon. You want to get into something that is going to just grow. And this business really is going to grow. And these are the reasons why on this slide. So, number one, the aging baby boomer population. 10,000 baby boomers turn 65 every single day. So that trend is going to continue through the year 2030. That means by the year 2030, 1 in 5 Americans will be 65 or older. A lot of those people will need supportive housing, but not all of them. Not all of them are going to need that full scale assisted living. Plus, assisted living costs on average $4,500 to $6,000 a month, and that prices out a lot of people. Not everybody needs a nursing home. Not everybody needs assisted living. Many of them just need safe, stable, affordable shared living spaces. And that's where group homes and co-living homes step in. And that demand is only rising. Number two, the housing affordability crisis. So we all know that rent and home prices are just skyrocketing. So shared living, shared housing is really the only affordable option for a lot of adults, especially low income adults or people who have retired and now they're on a fixed income. And even working professionals too. A lot of working professionals now are considering sharing a home with other people because they can live in a nice house and just share the common areas and then have a private room. So a lot of people from all walks of life are looking into this type of housing. 55% of low income renters spend more than 30% of their income on housing. So housing is really, really expensive nowadays. And I don't have to tell you that. You already know it's really expensive. So shared housing isn't just about us making more money, it's also solving a real housing problem. And cities need this model. Decline in private room supply. So new construction does not favor affordable shared housing. New construction does not favor affordable housing at all. New construction favors luxury or large single family homes, not affordable shared housing. So that's why we need to take this current housing supply that we have and turn it into residential affordable housing for people. So as private housing costs rise, room rentals and co-living offer a scalable solution, and landlords who make this pivot into co-living can really benefit from it. And then lastly, we have social isolation and mental health. So adults with mental health challenges, disabilities, or substance recovery needs, they often thrive in structured and shared environments. So group homes and co-living homes give them community that they need and not just a roof over their heads. So the power of this model, this co-living model, is both in the profit and in the purpose. It meets a real need for society. Plus, 1 in 4 Americans, well, 1 in 4 adults in America lives with a disability or a mental health condition. So when you combine all of these reasons on this slide, the aging demographics, housing shortages, affordability issues, and shifting preferences, co-living and independent group homes are not a trend, they're actually the future. And again, if you have any questions at all, please put them in the chat and I will get to every single one. All right, so why should you even listen to me? I am Katrina E. Robinson. I have 3 co-living homes in San Antonio, Texas, but I actually live in Los Angeles, California. So people started asking me, how are you doing this? How are you operating these 3 co-living homes from afar? How are you doing this business remotely? So I started teaching people just in my spare time on how they can do the same thing and make more money with their real estate. And now this is what I do. Now I help future group home and co-living operators start and run their own co-living businesses so they can create these profitable and purpose-driven businesses without getting overwhelmed by the process. So everything is very process-driven, step by step. And how did I get into this? About 6 years ago, I was looking for a side hustle that would bring me the most profit with the least amount of work. And it's not because I don't like work. I love work, actually. I'm kind of a workaholic and I'm used to hard work. I was in the military for 6 years. I've been to Iraq, I've been to war, I've seen the world, and I just wanted to live my best life on the beach in California. I was living in Redondo Beach and I was just thinking, how can I make more money? How can I maximize my income with real estate? Because I've always been interested in real estate. I love real estate. Even though that's not what I did. I was in the military. So I went to an assisted living training because I was familiar with assisted living. My mother had an assisted living a long time ago. So I went to this in-person assisted living training and I found out there that I needed to become certified for my state. So then I went through the certification process for both Texas and California because I'm a nerd like that and I wasn't sure where I wanted to open. And then I was under contract to buy an existing assisted living facility. And that's when I lost my sister unexpectedly. So my sister passed away and I got custody of her 2 children. And I was single on the beach and no kids by choice. And so all of a sudden I had this new Insta family and I was like, I can't be doing that too. I can't be doing assisted living. And I have these 2 kids that I have to learn how to parent. So at that point, I just didn't want the extra responsibility of having an assisted living house because I knew that I would need a cook, I would need a nurse, and I was going to get inspected all the time. There was going to be regularly scheduled inspections and the pop-up inspections. So I did not want to end up on the news, and I pulled out of that deal. When I pulled out of that deal, I was pretty sad. I was devastated. So I actually reached out to a friend of mine who I had met at that residential assisted living training. And she said, why don't you go into unlicensed group homes? I had never thought of that. I'd never heard of that before. And I thought that unlicensed meant illegal. So I was like, oh, absolutely not. I'm not going into anything that is unlicensed because I thought it was illegal. But once I learned what it really was, that unlicensed does not mean illegal. Unlicensed just means you're not providing any services that require a license. You're providing housing only, which does not require a license. Landlords don't require a license. You're basically just a landlord and you're just renting out the house by the bed or by the room instead. So once I really learned what it was and understood what it was and did my own research, I bought a fixer-upper property in Texas, which could have been a complete teardown because it was nasty, but it was huge. It was humongous. So what I did was I cashed out my retirement so that I could renovate that house. And I knew that I was going to turn it into co-living. So when I did that, when I cashed out my retirement, I was telling people what I was going to do. And when I told people that I was going to cash out my retirement to do this, they all said, you should not do that. No, don't do that. Don't ever cash out your retirement. And what I could have done at that point was listen to those people. But that's not what I did. What I did was I stopped telling people what I was going to do, and I just put my head down and I did it. And I opened my first independent co-living group home in San Antonio. It had 15 beds, and I charged $560 a month per bed. $560 a month per bed is $8,400 a month in gross rents. So after I did that, I had this newfound confidence. You couldn't tell me nothing. And I had bet on myself for once and it paid off. So after that, I was sold on independent living and co-living. And I was like, this is it. This is my life. This is what I do now. So this is what I do. I do independent living, co-living. All right, we're going to get into the profit potential. Okay, so on the left-hand side, we have a single family rental, a typical single family rental. It's a 4-bed. And let's say we're renting it out to people for $2,000 a month. So $2,000 a month, and our mortgage on it is $1,800. So our mortgage is $1,800. We're renting out this house for $2,000. Our profit is what? Our profit is $200. So now let's turn this house into a co-living house. We're going to turn this single family rental into a co-living house and do the comparison. So with the co-living house, let's say we put 2 beds in each room and we charge $500 a month, which you better not. Don't charge $500. That is way too low, way too low. But let's just say, just to show you something, you're charging $500 a month. So $500 a month times 8 beds is $4,000. Remember, that's shared rooms in a 4-bedroom house. When you compare 200 to 2,000, what is that? What's the ROI on that? That's 10x. That is 10x. 200 versus 2,000 is 10x. So it's actually more than 10x, it's 2,200. Okay, now let's charge $600 a month. So 8 beds times $600 a month, that's $4,800. That's shared rooms in a 4-bedroom house. Okay, so now you subtract that $1,800, which is your mortgage. Remember, that's the mortgage. So that's $3,000 profit. Now let's go to something that's more realistic, which is 650. So 8 beds times $650 a month is $5,200. 5,200. Again, that's shared rooms in a 4-bedroom house charging $650 a month. But I know what some of you are probably thinking. Well, you should be thinking. You should be scrutinizing everything I'm showing you. What you should be thinking is, didn't we say we're covering the utilities? Yes, I did say that. I said we're going to cover the electric, gas, water, and internet, all the utilities. But even if you deduct the cost of utilities, do you see that you are still bringing in 10 times the amount of a regular single family home? You see that, right? Because if you're bringing in $3,400 before utilities, you're going to be still making more than 10 times the amount of a regular single family rental. And like I said, when I opened my first house, it had 15 beds. I started out charging $560 a month per bed. 15 times $560 is 8,400. My mortgage was $2,000. So deduct $2,000. Let's deduct another $1,000 for utilities. And I'm profiting 5,400 a month. $5,400 a month on one property profit, not on a job, on a property that I am maintaining and managing part time. Now, I know what else you might be thinking. Yeah, that all sounds great, but I don't want the headache of dealing with that many people. I don't want to have to talk to 15 people. And I hear you. So, this is why when I got to my second house, I decided that I was going to outsource my headache. And outsourcing comes in the last section of my coaching program, which is the autopilot part. I show you how to find and hire an operations manager and how to compensate this person. He gets a cut of the money, and I'm still making money. And I do foresee more working class people moving into co-living as a way to reduce their cost of living. When you're marketing to working class people, you can charge more. They probably will not want to share a bedroom, but maybe they'll pay $1,000 for a private room that includes utilities. What you can charge depends on where you are in the country. So you have to do market research, and that's actually coming up soon. Okay, so you are on this call for a reason. You are ready to bet on yourself too. Maybe you want more income or more time freedom or more family time, or maybe you want to make a difference in the affordable housing crisis. What is your why? I wanted to have a retirement plan that I was in control of. I wanted to be in control of my own retirement because I felt like I was better at managing my retirement funds than some fund that I'm putting money into and other people are using my money. That's another story. Anyway, I want you to think about your why and then also your life vision. So take a minute and think about the vision that you have for your life 1 year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and how would having an extra $2,000 a month change your life? And that's on one house. I always tell my coaching clients to plan on making $2,000 a month profit per house. So $2,000 a month profit per house. And with what I teach you in my coaching program, you will easily have more than one house. All right, so let's go into the actual steps. So this is the slide you came for. This is my proven system to open and operate a profitable co-living home. And how do I know this works? Because I have used this exact model to open all three of my co-living homes, and I have taught many, many people on how to open their own co-living homes. And on the next slide, I'm going to show you my client, Kenya, who signed the lease on, yes, lease. I didn't even talk about that. You don't have to buy a property to do this. You don't have to own a property to do this. You can do this business in a rental. That's rental arbitrage. So anyway, I'm going to show you my client, Kenya. She signed the lease on her property during week 3 of my coaching program, and she had her open house during week 6 of my coaching program. Now she is actually on to open house number 2 and 3. So these are the steps. The first step in setting up your co-living business is reframing your thinking. I know everybody's like, oh, mindset yet, but it really is mindset. It's reframing your thinking to think like a CEO, like a CEO. You have to have a CEO mindset. Step 2 is setting up the business and doing your market research, which I'm going to dig into a little bit later too. Then step 3 is you get the house. Step 4 is marketing. If you don't fill the beds, you don't have a business. So marketing is super important. Then we focus on efficiencies and putting everything on autopilot. So now I'm going to show you my client, Kenya. So she went through her coaching program and she opened her first co-living home in Baltimore. You probably won't hear the music for some reason, but you'll be able to see the little video. It's a very short video. All right. So that was my client, Kenya. And again, she does not own that house. She rented that house. All right. So step one, mindset. The first step is to get your mind right. So you need positivity and determination. A CEO mindset is strategic, decisive, and growth oriented. It's about knowing that you can do this and using a calendar. It's a lot of time management and outsourcing the things that I don't need to do on my own and being obsessed with your win, whatever your win is. So it's about thinking, who can do that for me, or how can I pay for a shortcut? And by the way, in my program, I always give you how you can do something on your own and then how you can pay for a shortcut. It's about systems, like not reinventing the wheel. With every task that I do, I ask myself, how can I never do that again? Or how can I make it easier for myself the next time by documenting the steps? That's the CEO mindset. Step two is setting up the business. So you're going to do market research. When you do market research, I want you to look up two things. First, I want you to look up the cost of the properties in your area. And the property I'm actually going to talk about in the next step, but the property is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, at least 4 bedrooms. The more bedrooms, the better. But at least a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. How much is that per month in your area, whether you're going to rent or buy? Number two is the cost of a bed in your area. So you can look at places like Spare Room, Roomies, Roomster, Facebook Marketplace, and find out how much is a room for rent in my area. So type in room for rent and then your city and state, see what comes up. Look for shared rooms and for private rooms. And again, that was Roomies, Spare Room, Furnished Finder is another one, Facebook Marketplace, and just see how much are rooms going for in my area or in the area where you want to invest, because you don't have to do this in your city. I live in Los Angeles. All 3 of my co-living homes are in San Antonio, Texas. So when you're looking to invest and do this business remotely, make sure you look at a place that you don't mind visiting, that you like to go and visit. And I like to go and visit San Antonio. Okay, and then legal. So I want you to set up an LLC. You don't have to set up an LLC because you're essentially just a landlord. So you do not have to set up an LLC. But when you do set up an LLC, now you have a legitimate business and you can take advantage of business tax breaks. You don't have to go legit. I do recommend that you go legit though, and you can get a lawyer to do this for you. You could use LegalZoom or Busy or Taylor Brands, and that's paying for a shortcut. Just get somebody else to set up your LLC for you. And the reason also is because the biggest tax breaks and deductions are not for employees. They've never been for employees. The biggest tax breaks and deductions are for business owners. So when you set up your business the right way, you can write off equipment, your phone, your laptop, your home office, even your business travel. When I traveled out to Texas last week to check on my houses, that entire trip was a tax deduction. And you can deduct expenses that you're already paying for, like my internet. I need my internet to run my business, so that's a tax deduction. And you can qualify for 100% depreciation on things like computers and vehicles. And you can access special tax credits that are only available to businesses. So all of this is money back in your pocket, but only if you know how to take advantage of it. So that's why I highly recommend that you get your LLC set up. And then you also want to open a business bank account too. All right, getting the house. So the first thing we need to do is identify viable properties. So we need to know what kind of house is good for this. You want at least 4 bedrooms with at least 2 bathrooms. If you own the house, look at places that are not really being used, like a den. Can you put up a wall and make another bedroom? Can you renovate the garage and make that 2 bedrooms? Just see how you can maximize your space if you own the house. If you're renting the house, then you get what you get. So make sure that you have at least 4 bedrooms, excuse me, at least 4 bedrooms and at least 2 bathrooms. No carpet, no pool, in a nice enough neighborhood. By nice enough, I mean like a C-level neighborhood, okay? Where everybody's minding their own business, doing their own thing. Nobody's worried about what you're doing. So a C-level neighborhood. And then depending on the demographics of your residents, you may need parking for multiple cars. Okay. So if you own the place and there's space for you to pour a concrete pad for people to park, maybe that's what you need to do. But it depends on your demographics. If you're housing people who are working professionals, then those people more than likely are going to have cars. If you're housing demographics like who I house, or where it's more vulnerable populations who were living in their cars, or they were in a homeless shelter, or they were just sleeping on somebody's couch, or things like that, they won't have cars. And so you need to be near public transportation. All three of my houses are near public transportation, and of the 28 beds that I have, only 2 of them have cars. So it really depends on your demographics. And then also no HOA, so no homeowners association. And it's not because this is illegal, it's because they will give you a hard time. And I don't want you to have a hard time. So no homeowners association. You've probably heard of NIMBY, not in my backyard. That's what homeowners associations do. They're like, I don't want that type of house. I don't want those type of people in my neighborhood, not in my backyard. So just don't deal with HOAs at all. Now, if you have issues, if people give you a hard time, just remember that most of the time, the people that you house will be protected by the Fair Housing Act. That's Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968. That's the Fair Housing Act. Most of the time, the people that we house fall into one of the protected categories. There's a lot of protected categories, and so you will not be able to be discriminated against by housing the type of people that you house. So I don't want you to have to deal with any of that, though. So that's why I'm like, just no HOA, just don't deal with it. But if you do have to deal with it, there is a letter that you can give them that explains that you are protected by the federal Fair Housing Act. And so the federal, of course, outweighs their little HOA rules. And remember, you can do this business in a rental. You do not have to buy a house to do this business. What you do is contact landlords. I give you the script. I give you a script of what to say to potential landlords. And then you get the house, you set up the house. You don't have to furnish the house all at once. You can furnish the common areas and 1 bedroom first. Get the residents in that 1 bedroom, and then take that money and furnish the next bedroom. Take that money and furnish the next bedroom. So I'm all about doing this efficiently and helping people to be successful without having to spend a ton of money. That's what I want for you. I want you to be successful, and I root for the underdog always. So there are a lot of ways to pay for the house. I won't get into all this because we don't have a whole lot of time. I've been talking a lot, but there are conventional loans. There's DSCR loans, which is debt service coverage ratio loans. That basically it measures the businesses or the property's cash flow relative to its debt obligation. So if you can prove that this house is going to make this much money, the mortgage is going to be this much, so I can cover it, then you can get a DSCR loan. You can also use OPM, other people's money, creative financing. So there's a lot of ways. Partnership. So you bring the knowledge to the table and somebody else brings the money to the table. So there's a lot of ways that you can get into getting a house, and so many creative financing things too. Okay, marketing. So marketing is the absolute most important step. Marketing is the most important step, and marketing is ongoing. You will always market. Once you open your doors, you will always market. This is not a passive business. But the way I teach it, though, is that you will batch this work so that your house stays top of mind throughout the year because you did work on one day. You spent one day doing all of this work, and then your house is going to stay top of mind throughout the year. And so I teach you that in my program. So if you don't fill the beds, you don't have a business, period. If you don't fill the beds, you don't have a business. So that's why marketing is ongoing and it is crucial. How do you find people? How do you find residents to go in these beds? You're going to connect with caseworkers. placement agents, and directly with the people who need housing. Especially if you're going to be housing working professionals, you're going to market directly to them. If you're housing the demographics I house, you're going to be marketing to caseworkers, placement agents, social workers, housing navigators. I have a whole list of types of people and job positions, the types of people that you're going to have to network with so that you can fill these beds. I get questions sometimes on background checks. You can choose to do them if you want. I have a referral for you if you want to do background checks on your residents. When I first started, I did not. Now we do background checks because I have an operations manager who has a lot of experience in property management, and he has a subscription to do background checks. So that's why we do background checks now. And it's up to you on who you take. If you want to take people who have really clean records only, then that's fine. I take people who have felony convictions. I have people who have questionable rental history. So it just depends on what you're interested in doing. And then also there are companies out there such as PadSplit, who I just did an interview with, who will fill your beds for you. If PadSplit is filling your beds, they do background checks though. So the types of people who I house, they wouldn't be able to live in a PadSplit house because they can't pass a background check. Okay, marketing materials. So we go over that in my coaching program as well. The types of things that you need, like a website. You should have a web presence. It's always good to do that. Do an open house event, send out emails, flyers. We go over all of that. And you want to list your house on all available platforms like Spare Room, Roomies, Roomster, Furnished Finder, Digs. There's so many different places. In my coaching program, I actually give you 101 different ways to fill your bed. So I give you a lot of different places that you can post and fill your beds. Excuse me. So question for you. Do you think you can find 8 people in your chosen city who are willing to share a room and pay one low rate for their monthly rent? Seriously, do you think you can? Sorry about the dog barking if you can hear that. Sometimes you guys can't and I can, and it bothers me. So do you think you can? Okay, let me see. Okay, thanks for playing, Latanya. Yes. Here's the thing. If you think you can, then you will. If you think you cannot, then you will not. You will not. If you think you can, you will, though. So again, it's mindset. If you think you can find 8 people, you will definitely find 8 people. If you think you cannot, then you will not. Okay, so we have covered 4 of the 6 steps of opening your home, and I'm explaining at a very surface level. But I know for a fact that somebody in this masterclass wants to dive deeper because she already told me. So before we move on to the last 2 steps in this system, is it okay if I take a couple of minutes to share how I can serve you on a deeper level? Put a yes in the chat. I know the YouTube has a delay. There we go. Okay, I got a yes, so I got permission. Let me move on real quick. I'll try to make it as quick as I can. Okay, so this might not be for everybody, but it is perfect for someone who's here on this call. So all of this would be easier if you had a mentor, checklist, templates, somebody to hold you accountable, somebody who's been there, done that, and still doing that. That's me. It would benefit you if you had a customized checklist with exactly how you can open your profitable co-living home. So imagine at the end of 90 days, you have a property business on the side of your full-time job, if you have a full-time job, that profits an extra $2,000 a month for you and your family. And it's a business that changes lives and helps with the affordable housing crisis and gives you more time and energy for the things that matter to you. So my coaching program, Group Home on Autopilot, is designed to change your life and the lives of others in only 90 days. So I help people to open their money-making co-living homes. You need a blueprint. You need strategy, systems, structure, and accountability. So here's what you get. You get the startup workbook with templates, checklists, and scripts, the personalized accountability, feedback, and strategy, direct access to me. And I've launched multiple group homes, your custom master to-do list built around your timeline and your goals, and you get lifetime access to the Group Home on Autopilot online course. So it is a hybrid program, meaning you get one-on-one calls with me, and you also get group calls with the other coaching clients and access to a Slack channel where we can send each other messages 24/7. So the first thing we focus on is property acquisition. So I give you, I show you how to identify properties with the exact criteria. For example, 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, near public transportation. And I give you the landlord pitch script so you know exactly what to say to potential landlords so they'll allow you to sublease their property. Because if you pick the wrong property, or if you set up your business incorrectly, you're going to be dealing with renovations or HOA complaints and not be able to take advantage of tax deductions. And we want to make sure we maximize your cash flow before you even get started with this business. So that's why we have to set up the business properly and get the right house. So now, once you have the right property secured and you have it set up for shared living, what you won't have is a steady pipeline of qualified residents who can actually pay rent and not cause you problems. So I give you my demand pipeline activation system, which is just a fancy way of saying that we're going to build up your network before you even finish setting up the house. I give you a 14-day outreach plan so you know exactly what to do with your marketing so you can connect with organizations and the people who are going to help you fill your beds, especially if you're going to do shared bedrooms, because shared bedrooms are harder to fill than private rooms, but they can be done as long as you reach out to the right people and the right organizations. You'll get our caseworker outreach scripts. That's so that you know what to say when you reach out to these people who have a connection with the demographics that you want to house, and they're actively looking for quality housing options for their clients. We have to remember that marketing is the most important thing because we're paying rent or mortgage and utilities and those setup costs whether or not you have any residents in the house. So every day those beds sit empty, you're bleeding money. So that's why marketing is so critical and crucial. You have to fill your beds. So I focus a lot on marketing in my coaching program. Like I said, I teach you 101 ways to fill your beds. I give you proven call and email scripts so we can turn caseworkers into referral partners, plus my 1-day open house event plan so you can fill multiple beds in a single day. Okay. And then operations autopilot and scaling pathways. So now, once you have the right property set up and you have this pipeline of quality residents, what you still won't have is the systems to run the business without it consuming your entire life. A lot of people think once they get the residents in that they're done, but that's when reality hits, because that's when they're getting calls at all hours of the night because of house issues or roommate conflicts, or they're chasing down rent payments and basically becoming a full-time house manager instead of a business owner. And if you're stuck managing every little detail of house number 1, then you can't scale to house number 2. And one property making you $2,000 a month is nice, but it's not going to give you that financial freedom that you're probably looking for. So I give you my operations autopilot system that turns your shared housing business into a more hands-off income stream. You'll get our house manager options and onboarding workflows that handle 90% of the day-to-day operations without you. I show you how to set up automated payment systems, maintenance protocols, and conflict resolution processes. And I teach you standard operating procedures, SOPs, so that the house runs smoothly whether you're there or not. So everything that I have created and collected over the past 6 years of running my 3 co-living homes from afar, I give that to you in a digital workbook. So you can just take those forms and put your own business name on it, put your own logo on it, and then you have all of your documentation already done because I've already put it together for you in the workbook. And if you decide you want to step back even further from your business, I teach you exactly what to look for in an operations manager. And here's the best part. Once you have property number 1 running on autopilot and hitting your target occupancy, you're going to know exactly how to duplicate this model for property number 2. Who is a good fit for my program? So I won't read this to you, but if you're on this call then you've probably been wanting to invest in real estate, but you just didn't know how. Or maybe you're a social entrepreneur and you want to do good for society and also do well for yourself. Or you want to, you want to do something meaningful for your city and your country and the world. Or maybe you already have real estate and you want to get better returns on your investment. Whatever reason you're here for, you are going to be good for my coaching program, I'm sure. If you're still listening, if you're still listening to this call at this point, I've been talking for how long now, then you're a good candidate for my coaching program. There was a study by the American Society of Training and Development. They said that people who write down their goals privately and don't mention their goals to anyone, they're not likely to reach their goals. But when you announce your goal to a coach or a trusted friend, now you're 65% more likely to achieve your goal. When you give a weekly progress report to a coach or a friend, you're 95% more likely to achieve your goal. So it's really crucial that you build a support system. Whether it's me or some other coach or mentor that's out there, definitely, if you want to get into this business, get into a coaching program so that you can have that accountability. False beliefs. Okay, so some people think they need to own a house to have a group home. You don't. So every doctor that operates out of a building, they don't own that building. All you have to do is find a willing landlord. Remember Kenya, who I showed you her video of her open house? She does not own that house. All you have to do is find a willing landlord, and I give you the script. I give you exactly what to say to these potential landlords so they will allow you to sublease their property to other people. That's paying for a shortcut, is getting into a program where you get the script. And then another false belief that I hear all the time because of the demographics of who I house is that homeless people don't have income. Actually, many of the homeless people receive Social Security, or they have VA money, or it's just not enough money to get their own place. But they do get a check every month. It's just not enough to get their own apartment. And then a lot of them have felony convictions. A lot of people on the street have felony convictions or evictions on their record, things that basically disqualified them from getting into an apartment. And so that's why they're better suited for this type of shared living. And then my residents, most of them are on Social Security and other welfare. They're on SSI or they're on SSDI. Okay, running a group home will be a full-time job. People think that it's going to take all their time. So in the beginning, you do need to set aside some time. I tell all my coaching clients to set aside 10 to 20 hours a week for the first 6 weeks. But then after that, I focus on efficiencies and working on the business, not in the business. And I teach you how to pay for shortcuts so that you don't have to be spending all of your time at the house. I don't spend a lot of time at the house at all. I live in a completely different state from my house. What if I can't fill the beds? So I teach you how to fill your beds. And the way I teach you, you're going to have ongoing marketing. Your marketing is going to be going on throughout the year so that you stay top of mind with the caseworkers and social workers in your local area. And my client Kenya filled 5 of her 9 beds at her open house event by following what is in my coaching program. Here's a couple of client success stories. And if you're following my YouTube, then you can look these people up. They're featured on my YouTube channel. So if you've been watching trainings and taking notes and not taking action, make sure that you find an accountability partner, whether it's me or somebody else. Just somebody who's going to ask you, did you do what you said you were going to do? Because your co-living home is not going to open itself. And momentum loves company. So make sure that you get into a community. I have a school group too, but make sure you get in a community or a mentorship program where somebody is holding you accountable so that you can get this done. You don't want, today is June 17th, 2026. You don't want to be looking at June 17th, 2027, and you still are in the same place. You're still on YouTube University trying to learn how to do this stuff. Just do it, but get some help though. Okay, so I have two coaching options. The first is the self-paced option, and this is where you get lifetime access to video modules where I'm teaching you exactly how to open your profitable co-living business. So my YouTube channel is more the what, and this is the how. This is the implementation and the execution, exactly what to do to open your business. You also get the digital workbook with template scripts and SOPs, the 14-day marketing outreach plan, the open house event plan, and then access to the free online community. It's on Skool, Skool. If you look up Group Home on Autopilot, you can join that today. It's free. So access to the online community where you can ask questions and talk to other people who are also on their co-living journey. This option is everything you need to open your business. It does not come with the one-on-one coaching though. So if you're interested in this option, please just use the QR code right there to register for this. There is a payment plan for it as well. So it's $19.97, but you could also choose to do the 3 payments of $747 for this. Now, the second option is the Elite Launch Coaching Program. So this is the program where you get everything that's in that self-paced, but you also get 90 days of mentorship with me. Excuse me, this is 90 days of coaching with me. So it's bi-weekly. Every other week, we're going to meet with each other. And you also get a customized to-do list with deadlines. And we also have weekly office hours. So we have a weekly group coaching call. And you have access to a private Slack channel. And the private Slack channel is where you can contact me 24/7. You can send me a message and I get back to you within 24 hours, but you can ask me anything on the private Slack channel. And remember that implementation requires that you pay. You can either pay for mentorship or you can pay for mistakes. So you choose, you want to pay for mentorship or you want to pay for mistakes. Learn from my mistakes. So you definitely need a program if you want to get into this business so that you can learn from my mistakes. And if I'm going to teach you how to profit $2,000 a month for the rest of your life, how much would that be worth to you? How much would that be worth to you? If you're interested in this one, I want you to book a call with me because we need to make sure you're the right fit for this one. This is the one-on-one coaching program here. And again, you get lifetime access to the video modules with this. You get the digital workbook with the templates, scripts, and SOPs, the 14-day marketing plan, the open house event plan, access to the free online community, the school group. Plus, you get the 90 days of coaching, which is the one-on-ones with me every other week. And we also have the weekly office hours and the private Slack channel. And you get a customized to-do list. So if you don't know which option is right for you, the self-paced or the Elite Launch, book a call with me. The call is free. If you don't know which one is right for you, book a call with me. Or if you know you want the Elite Launch, which is the one-on-one coaching, book a call with me. Okay. So let's go back to the last 2 steps. I have a few minutes left before we get into the Q&A. So we've talked about mindset, setting up the business, getting the house, and marketing. But what about the day-to-day? That's the operations. This is the intake process, the setting expectations and the house rules, the common challenges and the ways to collect rent. And how do you pay for a shortcut for this one? I have already documented all the operations. So the house rules, intake questionnaire, lease, house signs, it's all in the digital workbook. So the way you pay for a shortcut is to get into that self-paced program and just pay for all the documentation. You can do that. So now you've got the house open, you filled the beds, and you're pocketing money every month. So now what? So now we need to turn this into a well-oiled machine and we need to scale this thing. So let's get to the top of the pyramid and what makes Group Home on Autopilot different from every other group home training that's out there, which is the autopilot part. This is the scaling. So once you go through all the hard knocks and the learning curve of your first house, you're going to fill the house, you're going to be ready for the next one. But how do you do this? And how do you do this remotely? I'm going to give you resources and tools that will make your life easier. I give you the full list of all the tech stuff that I use and all the tools I use and the resources so that I can make this the easiest side hustle. I give you your weekly actions, your monthly actions. I teach you how to find an operations manager, which is basically another you. So you're going to hire another you. I teach you what to look for in them, how to find them, how to train them, and how to pay them. I also teach you how to handle accounting in a very systemized way. So that's the autopilot part. So I have covered all the steps to take you from A to Z in opening your own profitable group home. And I hope you've gotten something out of this. Again, we've got the Elite Launch Program. This is the private coaching. If you want this, please book a call with me. Please book a call with me if you want this one. So people say all the time that knowledge is power, but really it's knowledge plus action equals power. I used to think that if I just had the knowledge that I could do it. But then after stumbling for a while, I did end up paying for a coach. I did end up paying for a coach when I was opening my second group home. Actually, when I was opening my first, I already had opened my first, but I wanted some help. And so I did hire a coach. But the only problem was the coach that I hired had never opened a group home before. They never opened a co-living home before. So that was an amateur mistake. And once you go pro, you ask who, not how. Like who is the best person for this job? Who can help me do this? Because execution beats knowledge every day of the week. Information alone is not enough. If you want to go faster and further, you need a coach who has been there, done that, and still doing that so that they can help you to execute. So that's why you really need mentorship. Okay, so now we're going to go to the Q&A. Again, here's the QR code. If you are watching this on your computer and you have your phone, take a picture, not picture, but go to your camera app and book a call. If you are not, if you're watching on your phone, I don't know if it's in the chat. Let me see if Angelica put it in the chat. If you're on the Zoom, then let's see. Angelica, did you put it in the chat? Yes, you did. She put the book a call with me in the chat. If you're on the Zoom, I will put this over in the YouTube, just in case anybody over there wants to book a call. And we're going to go right into the Q&A. Oh, YouTube is quiet. Okay, so I'm going to put that over there in the YouTube. And since I don't have anything in the YouTube, I'm going to actually end my live stream there. And we'll just go to the Zoom. So, oops, that's not what I wanted. Stop that. Okay, I'm doing something I don't want to do.